The Ferrari pair have been going exceptionally well in testing this winter and are sure to mount a formidable challenge for the title. Number 3 this year is worn by the Japanese driver Satoru Nakajima, who has transferred to the Tyrrell team from Lotus. He is partnered by the promising young French star Jean Alesi, who carries number 4. Watch out for the new blue and white livery of the Tyrrell team. This year the Tyrrells will again be powered by the Cosworth V8 engine, but they have made the switch from Goodyear tyres to Pirelli rubber. Retaining the number 5 is Belgian Thierry Boutsen in the Williams Renault. As last year, he teams up with veteran Italian Riccardo Patrese. Williams too has a new look sponsor lineup and will be powered by an updated version of Renault's V10 engine. The number 9 seat is this year taken by Michele Alboreto in the Footwork Arrows, while Alex Caffey takes number 10. The team has recently been bought by the Japanese company Footwork. They have signed a contract to use the new Porsche V12 engine from 1991, but for this year will continue with the venerable Cosworth V8. Team Lotus will be powered this season by the Lamborghini V12. They also have an all-British driver lineup with number 11 Derek Warwick and at number 12 the young Ulsterman Martin Donnelly. Frenchman Oliver Briard has moved from Ligier to Osella, who this year will run just a one-car team. Powered by the Cosworth V8, the team will use Pirelli tyres. Leighton House March had a very disappointing season last year, but they have retained the same driver lineup of Mauricio Gugelmin and Ivan Capelli. They will use a development of last year's Judd V8 and again sport the now familiar turquoise colour scheme. AGS have retained Gabriele Tarquini and Yannick Dalmas, as well as Cosworth V8 power, and they have also had a major management shake-up. Benetton could be the surprise team of the season. Alessandro Nannini remains and is joined by Brazilian Nelson Piquet, a 3-time world champion. A new Ford V8 engine will supply the power, and the addition of John Barnard to the design team will strengthen the lineup and mark them as one of the big 4 teams. Dallara has signed Italian Emanuele Pirro and have retained the services of Andrea de Cesaris. They will run Cosworth V8 power and Pirelli tyres. Last year's surprise team were Minardi. They look to build on that success with drivers Pierluigi Martini and a newcomer to Formula 1, Pasta Air, Paolo Barilla. At Ligier, Nicola Lorini has joined from Osella and Philippe Alliot returns to the team after a 4-year absence. Another of the Cosworth V8 runners, but this time on Goodyear tyres. McLaren Honda are once again favourites for the title. Brazilian Ayrton Senna will this year carry the number 27, made famous by the late great Gilles Villeneuve. He is joined by the Austrian Gerhard Berger, who moves from Ferrari to McLaren. Only time will tell if these two can work together and produce a more harmonious atmosphere at the Woking-based team. It's been a turbulent off-season, with Ayrton Senna at loggerheads with the sport's governing body, FISA. That battle now seems to have been resolved, and Ayrton must concentrate on what he does best, driving. This year's car is a development of last and is again powered by the mighty Honda V10. Goodyear provides the rubber. The Larousse Lola team have signed Frenchman Eric Bernard, he's very promising indeed, and the Japanese Aguri Suzuki. They will again have Lamborghini power and will be hoping that last year's reliability problems can be solved. The little Coloni outfit will run just one car this year. Belgian Bertrand Gachot, who describes himself as a European, has transferred from Onyx, and the Japanese car manufacturer Subaru have taken an interest in the team. Eurobrun have signed former Coloni driver Roberto Moreno, and he is partnered by the little-known Italian Claudio Langis. The Judd V8 engine provides the power, but a V12 Neotech engine is in the pipeline. Onyx have the young Finn JJ Leto, who debuted for the team late last season and looked particularly impressive. Alongside him, the experienced Swede Stefan Johansson retains his seat. The team has had a troubled off-season, narrowly failing in its bid for Porsche V12 power. It will now once again be running a Cosworth V8 engine, and the ownership of the team has also changed. Finally, a newcomer to the Formula 1 scene, Life Racing. The car will be driven by Gary Brabham, son of former world champion Sir Jack. One team missing from that rundown, of course, Brabham. A week ago it appeared that the Brabham team would not be racing this season, certainly in the early season races. We stand here at Phoenix in an empty garage area, but with me, the team director, Mike Blash, with some late news because there has been an 11th hour rescue bid. Tell us, Mike, what's happening?
Well, basically on Monday afternoon, we sorted out all of our problems for our financial future. Very fortunate to be able to say, and very happy to say, that we are in business for the whole of the 19th season, and the future of Brabham is very secure. We cancelled everything on Friday, and needless to say that meant aeroplanes and hotels, hire cars, fuel, motorhome, etc. Monday afternoon, right, put it all back together again, and we managed to get the mechanics flying out on Tuesday in various ways, and then the cars left on a Federal Express airplane from Heathrow on Wednesday. The cars have now arrived in Los Angeles. They've just been put onto a truck. We've got a police escort and a 7-hour trip, and they should be here around about 9 o'clock this evening, and tomorrow morning off we go.
There was talk of one of your drivers, Stefano Modena, transferring teams because of the various injuries. What's the situation now with your driver lineup?
Well, Stefano Modena is actually driving 4 Brabhams along with Gregor Wojtek.
And what about tyres? Because the Pirelli tyres went to Tyrrell. Are you tireless?
Well, I arrived here this morning being completely tired and tireless. Fortunately, we're still going to remain with Pirelli, and we're looking forward to that relationship again.
You did do a little bit of testing in the winter, but obviously you're behind everybody. Can you get on the grid? It's going to be a massive uphill struggle for all the lads, isn't it?
Yeah, to be very honest, providing we qualify with both cars, I'll be over the moon. And I'm not worried where we qualify, just as long as we qualify 2 cars for the race.
Ayrton, a new season starts with this weigh-in. Are you putting everything of last year behind you?
Well, that's a good start with the interview. I think 1990 is 1990, and we are here Phoenix, and we are here for racing, and that's what should take place. We have a long season, very competitive, more than before, and I think it's going to be exciting for everybody and difficult for everybody that is looking for winning.
Do you prefer it a season where we've got some really strong teams, or would you like to just walk the championship?
I think competition is good for the sport and it's good for Formula One. Not always good for the driver that is there fighting, but I think makes each victory more tasteful. Therefore, through the difficulties you get the pleasure.
If you didn't love motor racing, you wouldn't be back after all the nonsense that went on over the winter, would you?
Yes, I think you could say that. I have been through a difficult time, but here we are, and let's see what takes place now.
In the press conference this morning, somebody asked you if you carried any grudges, and you just said silence.
Same to you now.
Move on to the race in Brazil. Your hometown, but you've never raced at Interlagos, have you?
No, I only race go-karts in Brazil, and as a natural thing I never raced Interlagos. I only started racing Brazil with Formula One in '84, and we were already in Rio, so it's going to be my first race at home. Let's see.
I went to several races at the old Interlagos track, which is a marvellous track. What about the new one, because you were there just a few days ago?
The new one is completely new one, as you say. All facilities, not only the circuit, and I think it's going to give a good show to everybody. It's going to be enjoyable to drive too. The layout is very nice, up and down, fast, slow corners, and the facilities for the teams to work, the press, everything is marvelous, and we should have a fantastic weekend there.
Ken, we're here at the weigh-in, but this isn't a boxing match. What's going on?
Well, one of the rules of Formula One is that the cars must not be less than a certain weight. And the most convenient way to weigh the cars is when they enter the pits, when they're trying to qualify for the starting grid. And so we weigh the drivers at the start of the season and again halfway through the season in case they put on or lose weight. And then that weight is subtracted from the weight of the car.
That's a clever way of doing it.
It's a simple way of doing it.
And who's the heaviest, do you think, out there?
I don't know. I think one of my boys is the lightest. Satoru Nakajima. I think he will come out pretty well the lightest this year.
Do you think that makes any difference, Ken, to a racing car? I mean, Nigel Mansell was talking about it this morning, and the difference between him and Prost.
Yes. Oh, yes, it most definitely makes a difference. A pound of weight is worth 100th of a second per lap on
Nigel, I think you're really looking forward to the new season with Ferrari.
Yeah, it's a fantastic start of the new year. We've done a lot of homework over the winter and, you know, put an extraordinary amount of time and effort into it. So we look for the new year with great expectations.
Of course, you've done some sensational times in testing, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it is incredible, actually. I mean, we've lowered some of the outright track records by about 3 seconds. And, you know, in the winter you expect maybe 1 second or so, but 3 seconds is quite extraordinary.
But that is taking its toll on your body and all the drivers' bodies.
I think as the season goes on this year, I think we're getting back to the development of ground effect without having it, because the lift-over drag is such now that we're getting the downforce without the drag, so we're going faster down the straights, which we're proving, and of course a lot faster around the corners.
What's that actually do to your body? It almost sucks the air out, presumably.
Well, I think the problem is the lateral G load. We're certainly getting over 4G lateral G load now in some corners, in Estoril especially. And then as John knows from the ground effect days, I mean, you go into some corners and hold your breath. You can't breathe when you're pulling about 4G lateral.
How's that going to be round here with the bumps of Phoenix?
Won't be a problem around here at all, because, I mean, you know, they're short, snappy corners, and therefore you won't really pull much G. You'll probably pull 2G, 2.5 at the most. But going down into Brazil, you'll be pulling a lot of G down there.
We've been working with Alain Prost over the winter period, and that relationship really seems to be blossoming.
Yeah, Alain's a very professional man, and you know, he saw that I made it possible for him to come to the Ferrari team, and I think he appreciated that. And we've worked very well together, and I think the team's moved forward just a little bit faster on the engine front if he hadn't have been with us. So yeah, it's very, very good.
Number one for motorsport. John Watson and I are standing here on pole position at Phoenix. John, what about street racing and this Phoenix track in particular?
Well, like all street tracks in North America, they are road tracks that have 90-degree corners. There's no natural flow of road, such as Monte Carlo, where the circuit there follows the natural contours of the road. Here it's long straights, short straights, 90-degree corners, and really what is most difficult is there's no recognition points in the circuit, no reference points. So you rush down a straight like this, you can see 300 yards, 200 yards, 100 yards, and those are the markers before the corner, but you cannot actually see the corner. All you see is a small gap at the point where you really ought to be turning in, and it's very, very difficult just to know, particularly in the early part of the practice, where the road goes. And it also causes a lot of problems during the race anyway, because people do make misjudgments. They try to pass down the inside. Even though we've got a lovely wide street here, effectively only about half of the circuit was actually usable. The other half is going to be dirty, rubber, so it's almost impossible to pass somebody even though you've got a wide part of the street.
One of the other problems, John, I think, is the fact that a street circuit has all the fundamental parts of a normal road. It does. I mean, right, look down here. This is a metal plate. This is actually something to do with the water system of Phoenix, and that's actually been, you see, welded down, but that must sort of unnerve a motor car. Well, do you have to look for those things, and what do you do about it?
Well, certainly at Phoenix, as we saw last year, a lot of the cars, because they're running so low, were bottoming heavily, and they were doing it on this straight. These kind of hazards are something that you've got to put up with. If you can see them, or maybe more to the point, if you know where they are, you do try to avoid them. But it's one of the hazards, if you like, of racing on street tracks, and particularly American street tracks, because their roads are generally not as good in the city, in the inner city, as we are here in Phoenix, let's say as Monte Carlo. So you've got to live with it. It means it's going to be an uncomfortable and bumpy ride. The bottom of the car is going to take a hammering. Hopefully the welding in these manhole covers will stay intact and one of those doesn't pop out. So it's not what I would consider an ideal racetrack from the surface point of view, but it's a Grand Prix. It's in America, and that I can assure you is very, very important to Formula One Grand Prix racing.
The first thing to hit the track this morning at an early hour, 8 o'clock in the morning, a pre-qualifying session, 9 cars pre-qualifying, and only 4 to go through to the rest of the practice. The rest of the cars, the other 5, that's the end of their Phoenix Grand Prix. And let's just look at who got through. Fastest in that pre-qualifying session, Roberto Moreno, very happy having switched teams to Europe Run with a 1 minute 32.292. Second fastest in the Lola Lamborghini, the promising young Frenchman Eric Bernard in a 1 minute 32.711. Another Frenchman in third slot, Oliver Griard, now with the Italian Olsella team, 1 minute 33.181. Fourth fastest, and the last man to get in, the Japanese driver. He switched from the Zach Speed team, there no more, Aguri Suzuki. He did a 1 minute 33.331. The rest of the unhappy brigade who didn't make it. The 2 AGSs with their new and expensive sponsorship from the Ted Lapidus firm, Gabriele Tarquini and Yannick Damas, failed to make the cut by over 2 seconds. Seventh fastest, the Italian, the man from Brescia, Claudio Langes. Gary Brabham with the Life, with that strange W12 engine. That car didn't go at all well. He only did 4 laps, and Gary didn't even get under 2 minutes. And Bertrand Gachot, he was the unhappiest man of all. He didn't even complete a practice lap with the Subaru-powered Coloni. So that's it. Roberto Moreno, Eric Bernard, Oliver Griard and Aguri Suzuki go through. So qualifying has just started, and the first man out on the track, very significantly, Jean Alesi in the Tyrrell. Tyrrell's now running on Pirelli tyres, and the big news is that in this morning's practice session, the 1.5 session, which 1.5 hour session, which was actually stopped for a couple of occasions with accidents, Jean Alesi topped the whole list, quicker than Senna, quicker than Berger, quicker than Prost. Tyrrells are in very good shape indeed. Fifth fastest is the other Tyrrell of Satoru Nakajima. With me in the commentary position here, looking at this qualifying, John Watson. John, what about this Tyrrell situation? Really a sensational start to this new season, this new decade even of Grand Prix racing. Tyrrell, the team of the 70s, may just be the team of the 90s.
Well, the Tyrrell team has had a complete overhaul. They sent the team in, top and tailed it, and the team has come out with a car that looks much more attractive. They've got some very good people from Ferrari. They've got Pirelli tyres, they've got an associated McLaren sponsorship package, and we think maybe a little bit more than that. And the team with Jean Alesi as a #1 driver is obviously more than just a force to be reckoned with. In fact, we sat and watched a few minutes ago. Ron Dennis, the boss of McLaren, came down to the Tyrrell team pits and was talking to Ken Tyrrell. Now, normally you'd expect to see Ken Tyrrell walking up and talking to Ron Dennis, but today, the other way around.
Well, here we are seeing Jean Alesi just warming up the tyres on this very first qualifying lap of the 1990 Phoenix Grand Prix. Of course, it's very much cooler here than the first Phoenix Grand Prix last year, which was held in the height of summer. Much more pleasant conditions today, about 70 degrees. And here is the man of the moment, Jean Alesi. His parents are born in Sicily, but he a Frenchman. And just see how close those walls are, John. Very difficult in qualifying, but Alesi has got out first, and that is a good move.
Yes, I think what he's going to try and do is get a time in very, very quickly indeed. And although the team and Alesi are new to the Pirelli qualifiers, they are obviously very, very effective. In fact, on a street track like Phoenix, it's generally believed the Pirelli qualifying tyre is going to be the better tyre, and I think that was the indication, not so much from Alesi, who we know to be an outstanding young driver, but really from Nakajima in 5th place, Alesi's teammate. So that was, I think, some indication of how good the tyre is. But look at Alesi, he's really getting on with the programme. It's only his first time lap, and he's actually giving the car, well, absolutely maximum throttle everywhere he can.
Quite a lot of sparks coming from the front of the car when it bottoms here.
And he just did it, kissed the wall, indeed.
Kissed the wall. Mauricio Gugelmin there, been having a pretty unhappy time with the march, and Alesi right out in the dirt, and Alesi is really trying hard.
In fact, Andrew, what he did there was probably lost time, because he's on a quick lap. He wants to get it in as soon as possible. Gugelmin's car was in the way, and he just decided, well, you're in the way, but I'm going to still drive round. He got a little bit wide onto the dust, and well, there again, we've just seen him kiss ever so slightly the wall here at Phoenix, and well, in fact, he's slowing down now. He's decided that that's enough for one lap. I'm not going to achieve a good time, and there we are. Look what's happened. 3 corners. He's lost time. He could have maybe written the car off or damaged the car at best. He's coming into the pits. just as his teammate Satoru Nakajima goes by to complete his first time lap, probably ending up quickest driver on the grid so far.
Would you say then that that's lack of experience from Jean Alesi?
I would have thought, yes, a lack of experience. He was very, very keen indeed to consolidate his pole, or his temporary pole position from the morning, but in fact you could see that he was overdriving the car really, really much too much, and on 3 occasions he could have been in the wall. Prudence finally gave way to what he was doing, and he's to come into the pits and think about it and then maybe go out in a couple of minutes.
Right, well there we see and hear a new sound in the back of the Camel Lotus, the sound of the Lamborghini V12 engine, and that is Derek Warwick having his first drive with the team. He tried to get with the Lotus team on 2 or 3 different occasions over the last 5 years. At last he's driving for them, but early indications are that this package isn't working particularly well round here.
Well, the team have had a lot of problems. They didn't really, first of all, get a lot of pre-season testing with this Lamborghini engine. They did a little bit in Portugal a week or so ago, and they had a big problem with the oil tank and the oil system. And the Lamborghini engine is an engine that requires an awful lot of oil. I don't know why, but it seems to. They then came out to Phoenix and they had a day's testing at Chrysler's test track close to Phoenix. Thought they'd overcome the problem. They put, in effect, a huge blister on the oil tank to enable the capacity to be increased. But this morning they've had just nothing but trouble, and both Warwick and Donnelly are decidedly long-faced, and in fact I would imagine that this race is really going to be an extended testing session for the Lotus Lamborghini team.
They can get more laps in.
Yes, again, because of the temperature conditions, the qualifying tire really isn't working to its full potential, and quite a number of the teams may decide to go with one set of soft race tires and one set of qualifiers. If the qualifier really isn't working properly, then they fall back on the soft race set and they can get more laps in.
The new man on pole position, Jean Alesi, has just clocked to 1 minute 29.408. Jean Alesi is now top of the pile, ahead of Pierluigi Martini, Oliver Griart and Nelson Piquet, and it's changed again. Ayrton Senna now second fastest. Martini drops to third. Gerhard Berger is in fourth spot, but Jean Alesi is fastest with a 1 minute 29.480, 0.6 of a second faster than last year's pole position from Senna, and Martini has gone back. And Martini has retaken pole position with a 1 minute 29.250. So it's all happening here at Phoenix. Now this practice session, 36 minutes old out of 60 minutes, and it keeps changing around, and I wouldn't be at all surprised, John, if we don't have another change.
I think we're going to see quite a few changes before the hour session's finished, and it's going to be interesting to see who finally does top the top of the grid, but it certainly appears to me that the Pirelli tired cars do have an advantage at this stage, and even though the two McLarens are third and fourth, those two guys are going to have to struggle, I think, quite a lot to ensure further top of the grid for the two McLaren cars.
There is Nigel Mansell having an attempt at a quick qualifying lap with the 7-speed Ferrari with the semi-automatic gearbox. That gear change, just a little flap behind the steering wheel, certainly helps with quick changes, and Nigel gets it all sideways on, collects it all up, and Nigel is on a big charge. And what is going to happen to Nigel Mansell on this qualifying lap? John, you were saying to me earlier, you really think that Nigel Mansell is pumped up to do well here?
Well, he certainly was on that lap. He came into the corner and he just pitched the car in. The car had lost all grip, went sideways, and he gathered it up just in time before he could have ended up in the tire wall. But obviously, you know, he's going for a grid time. You can see the way the car is darting around, and he's driving it in a very Nigel Mansell way, and that is 100% commitment.
Nigel Mansell then just past Ayrton Senna. Senna will be pulling back into the pits, but Mansell going for the big lap. He's got a Minardi behind him. That is not a pole sitter, Pierluigi Martini. That is. So that's the end of qualifying here at Phoenix, Arizona, The form book has already been upset. How much of it is to do with the Pirelli qualifying tyres, we're not exactly sure right now. But stay with us tomorrow and find out the final lineup for Sunday's grid.